Hey guys, this is Trav, bringing you part 2 of my series of Rainbow Six Siege tips and tricks. In the last video, we covered the British SAS defenders, and today we're going to start with the Spetsnaz defending operators. We're going to start first with Kapkan. Okay, Kapkan can be very useful if you know what you're doing with them and you place your entry denial devices in the correct locations. Kapkan has two primary weapon choices. You either have a 9mm automatic machine gun, which is what I have here, which is pretty good in close to medium combat. He also has the submachine shotgun, which does a lot of damage close quarters, so if you're in a close quarters map, that shotgun gets pretty deadly. But anyway, we're going to play with this. For a sidearm, we got a pistol, and for your L1 choices, you either have barbed wire or the C4. And this time I'm going to use barbed wire because sometimes I find it helps with the entry denial devices because it kind of baits the enemy. So he has 3 entry denial devices. So let's cover them. To start, we're on Consulate. And on Consulate, there's a couple different ways I like to use his entry denial device. First, a couple things you need to be concerned about. When you place an entry denial device, and you place the laser obviously on the inside, so the opposite the way the enemy is going to come, so that when it's barricaded or castled, they don't see the laser through the door. But the thing you have to be concerned about is when you put down these booby traps, is on the opposite side of the door there's the large retaining bolt that holds a device to the wall. And that could get pretty obvious from the other side. See right there. Now this one you can see it different because it's hidden by this metal detector. So something you could do with Kapkan is walk around on different maps and look at common doors, common walkways, where there's something in the way that's going to hide the device. It's common on this. On bank there's a lot of metal detectors where you can hide them. Look for tables or chairs or what have you nearby doors where you could also hide your device. So a couple ways you can use Kapkan. First, you have to consider your map. A lot of times I won't put a tripwire on this door because typically this door is going to be breached and exploded by gunfire or frags or EMPs or what have you before they even make their way into this target area, because it's the objective room. There's going to be gunfights happening typically outside nearby this objective room, and that's going to lead to your booby trap being destroyed. Alright, so that's something to consider. So if I wanted to place his entry denial devices around the map but not next to the objective, I have to think about where I'm going to reinforce. If I reinforce in the objective room, that's obviously taking a lot of time away from my setup. So as Kapkan, I'm looking a lot of times for the drops. Okay, are there other places I can reinforce that are not necessarily on the walls of the objective room that I have to travel to, because travel time is going to detract from your time in your setup phase. So if I'm going to hit that drop, which is one you need to consider when you're playing Consulate, and also this one, I'm going to tell my team, guys, I'm going to get the drops, and I can also set my booby traps upstairs so that I'm pretty much taking care of 2 birds with 1 stone. So I can come up here and I can hit these 2 drops, and then I can also worry about my denial devices at the same time without having to go back and forth. Okay, so a couple ways you could use his device. Here on this map, a lot of the spawns are going to happen on this east side because you have 2 points of entry there and back there. Okay, or they're going to happen on the west side, on that end, or on the opposite end on the northwest corner, depending on what the enemy team is doing. A lot of times, especially like for bomb, they're going to spawn the northwest corner or out this door. They're going to spawn out here. Okay. So you have to think about where they're spawning, where are going to be the main doors that they're going to be coming through. And those are the ones you're going to want to put your entry denial devices near, whether on the door or nearby it. Okay. So over here, I might barricade that door, or I might barricade this, and I might put a device down here like this. Okay, but look, when they come through from their side, and this is barricaded,
located.
That stands out pretty easily. So one thing you could do is drop your wire down near the device. And yes, you could still see it, but they might be distracted with the wire. So they might go through here, knock out the wire, and hopefully they don't see your device. So when they're breaching this and checking, okay, it's clear, I can vault through there and they're gonna hit your tripwire. So that's something to consider here. So maybe I'm covering that door. Or if they're spawning east side, one area I like to do is this door over here. Because a lot of times the enemy team isn't thinking when they're running in from spawn that the threat's going to be at the first door they come to. They're checking windows for window peekers, or they're trying to rush in and secure the first room and work their way across one flight and go downstairs and cover down on the next flight. So a lot of times you could pick up kills on these entry doors by putting your device there right away. Alright, I've seen a guy get a 2-piece just on this door alone from 2 guys running through his device. Okay? So another thing you could do is if you back up to a secondary point of view, so maybe I want to block off this hallway. So now on this hallway, if I concern myself with the open doors, I'll know if someone's coming through that door because I'm going to hear the door break. So I can lock down this door and put a trip device on it. And I can use it as a bait. Maybe I'm sitting here, I'm the roamer, okay, and I'm calling to my team where I'm hearing enemies, what direction, and if I hear somebody try to shoot at my device, I might be able to get that kill because he's distracted shooting it at my device, okay, because he could see this. So it's just a couple things to consider when you're using Captain. He's useful in many maps, especially on the plane map where he can set them on outside doors on this map and a couple others. So think about where you want to put them, talk to your team, work together, and I'm sure you guys will find getting more kills with the entry device.
By the room, you need to keep the hostage secure.
Alright guys, I wanted to make one more point when using Capcan. If you're in an objective room that has a lot of window entry points, Capcan could be pretty useful for covering down entry points in the windows. Okay, so and he works very well with Castle. We kind of discussed Castle a little bit in the last video, how he can be helpful when you have a room full of windows, but I can also put these trip devices on windows to stop entry into these windows. Now obviously the chances are they're going to see those windows because when a guy's rappelling, he's really taking his time around windows next to an objective room because he assumes there's going to be enemies inside that room. So they're going to be taking their time, they're going to be scoping things out, and their chances are they're going to see it. Okay, but it gives you the time, if they're shooting at that, to take the device out. That gives you a chance to turn and shoot on the enemy and hopefully get the kill before they're able to even know what's happening after taking out your device. So that's another way Cap can be used to cover down on windows. Okay, the second Spetsnaz defender is Tachanka. Tachanka is the one that has the large mounted machine gun that he can place on the floor and that himself or his teammates could use. Alright, that's the key point. His teammates can also use the LMG, and it doesn't have to be Tachanka. There's a couple considerations when using him. One, if the objective area that you're defending is a large room, you could easily put down your machine gun in that room to cover a pretty large area. So if I'm defending this hostage and we're at Chile, a pretty common map, and we're in the master bedroom, which is a common area to defend hostage, I can place the LMG right in this room, and I myself could use the LMG, or my teammates could use it, and I can cover a lot of points of entry easily from here. And you'll see I have the full magazine holds 61 rounds, and I have 179 in reserve. So that's an area I could put it. So naturally, if I'm going to use this area, I'm going to fortify walls near here and let my teammates that need to roam fortify drops or exterior walls. Another way you could use them, especially on a map like Chile, where I have a lot of hallways connecting major rooms within the resort, I can cover down on some of these hallways. Now I have multiple levels, so maybe I want to cover a stairway that leads to the level where the objective is. So I can come down to a stairway. I could put his LMG down, and I could use his LMG to cover entry to that stairway before they even make it to the same floor as my team or as the objective. Then I can cover all these points of entry. Now when you're using him, you have to be concerned about flanks. Okay, where am I going to be flanked here? Well, this window is away from my normal field of view. It's out of my peripherals unless I move all the way over to that window. So I could either have a teammate castle this window, or what sometimes I like to do is I like to run a shield with them. Oop. Let me put that back down. There. Yes. So a lot of times I like to use a shield with the Chanka to cover my flank paths. So maybe I put a shield here just to give me a little bit of protection from that flank. So I'm focusing on here and I have a shield as a cover here. Okay, in some other maps, maybe I want to put that shield in front of me when I'm using Tachanka to offer me a little bit more protection, especially if I'm in the open. Like I like to use this if we're defending a garage on house. I could put that shield in front of me to protect me from any enemy gunfire, to give me an advantage as I return fire and hopefully get the kill before they do. Alright, but keep in mind, obviously my head is going to be exposed, and that one headshot is going to take you out. But the idea is to reduce the amount of damage you're going to take, deflect enemy gunfire, while using Tachanka so you can return fire and hopefully get the kill with Tachanka. Another thing you could do is you can clear walls that are breachable by shooting through them, okay? Or I could put a couple peepholes in doors. Alright, I could do the same with windows, so that way I can easily see what's outside of them before the enemy gets to them. And you can do this with thin walls that can be breached by normal breach charge. I can also shoot peepholes in the walls that I could always have a good essay of what's going on beyond that wall, beyond that door, beyond that window when I'm using Tachanka. Think about how you want to use them. Remember, your teammates could use them. So maybe you set a gun down that your teammate can use, and you can move somewhere else. Or you use the gun as bait, and you can wait. And if a player's expecting you to be on that gun, he comes around that corner. You can finish him off. Works pretty well if you've been spotted. So a couple things to consider when you're using Tachanka. Always think outside the box. Communicate with your teammate. And happy hunting, Siegers.